Welcome to Life
on
Life's
Terms.
It's your host, Justin.
And Kenny.
Today's topics, we are going to talk about eating your goddamn emotions, abstinence from shit fucking foods, how did the commercialization of processed foods become a part of our diet, and your gut's impact on your brain. But before we get into those things, we like to do these shout outs.
Since it's always training season, what does your meal plan look like? Is keeping a healthy diet robbing from your palate and triggering
Probably.
unhealthy cravings? Keep on your A game and stop cravings at the same time with Ono Poke. Ono Poke is a perfect place to stuff your face with something that ties into your fitness goals. Try the miso salmon, spicy Thai salmon, or the albacore tuna poke on your choice of veg, quinoa, or rice. Eat healthy, eat right, eat Ono Poke.
Would you like to feel like an astronaut? Would you like to detach from this world and disconnect for just a little bit? Where is the best place to do this? Well, our friends over at Modern Gravity, of course. For only $39.99 a month, you can have the astronaut experience. Detach from this world, from the bullshit that's surrounding you. For more details, please visit Modern Gravity's website at www.moderngravity.ca.
Get yourself afloat.
When was the last? Have you floated recently?
Nope.
I'm looking at going in, I think.
I may have free time this weekend.
I'm
It's not looking good.
wanting to go there. I'm wanting to do it, and then I got to run into too, I guess, here pretty soon.
Let's go for a tuna.
Yeah. I
can go for a tuna today, actually.
That'd be a good thing to eat. So let's get into eating emotions. You and I had a pretty deep conversation with the wonderful Laura.
Yeah.
Last episode, and I had serious thoughts about it afterwards, man. Like,
me too.
It was pretty. I mean, like I was saying in the show, I honestly get, and I guess we can tie abstinence from shit foods into this as well. She was along the line of entire abstinence from shitty things.
She's like a fucking Jedi.
How do you mean?
Like, her ability to have, like, that discipline to abstain from shit foods, and her awareness of, like, the codependence that we have on comfort food.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. Like, her awareness of, society's confusion on what is good for you and what isn't.
Well, and I think a lot of that does come from the commercialization of food. They try to misdirect you into a place that you think it's healthy, and then when you actually do the research on what you're putting and smashing into your face, it's not good for you. You know what I mean? Like most shit that's processed is bad for you. And so. And the emotional eating, they know damn well that we have tied. So, like, I read this thing a little while ago about enzymes in your stomach that like meat. And when you eat meat with other people, it comes from this tribal place where there's a connection to relationship because of nutrients of that meat. The fact of that we both have probably, especially men, have come from a place of adrenaline driven to kill that meat. Now we're eating it together. There's a harvest within the emotion that happens. Other animals that have similar impact is like lions. Any wolves do the same thing. Anything that has a community of society that kills something together, the food actually will wrap itself into some sort of a memory.
Yeah, it probably has an effect on our DNA.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure. So one of the things that I'm starting to recognize is the commercialization of food. Like when they sell emotions on food, they're doing that because they know already that happens. Biochemically, that happens with us. So as I'm researching this stuff, I kind of feel like fuck those people a little bit because
it pisses me off, man. It's like entrapment, how they fucking get us. They hoodwink us.
Yeah.
We're hoodwinked by these food corporations that are trying to make a dollar on us and turn a profit, provide like shitty produce, shitty meats, sugar riddled everything. Like even our milk.
Yeah,
You know, a glass of milk is like the same amount of sugar as like a half a can of pop.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, it's good for you. It's good for your bones.
Yeah. Yeah, and not really.
Pour it on some fucking cinnamon toast crunch.
I would suspect that kefir's better, but I actually haven't dived into the dairy thing yet. You know what I mean? Like I'm only really actually concentrating on the last diet that seems to have worked for me is the paleo, which is just mostly plant-based foods with meat, right? So it's a larger portion of vegetables and fruits and stuff like that, and then you get meat, and you try to cut out oatmeal and grain out of your diet as much as you possibly can. But I actually like oatmeal quite a bit, and it doesn't seem to really bother me. And what I'm trying to use as the barometer.
Oatmeal makes me fat.
See, I guess the barometer for me is how fast am I pushing it out of my body. That's the barometer for me. Because I have gone through bouts of like constipation of like longer than 8 days from eating too much bread, which is obviously an issue. And I can tell you that as soon as I have too much grain in my diet, the inflammation in my back, I can't move. Like I'm done for. Same thing with my knees. It's done from grain. And as soon as I cut that stuff out, I'm pretty much okay. As long as I pump in more turmeric, things of that nature into my diet, it takes it away. I can feel it. And you know what else I found is now that I'm in sobriety, I actually feel this stuff work in my body. Like I remember taking, for instance, aspirin. I would take 6 aspirin for a headache because it just didn't feel any aspirin work. And then now I take like 1 or 2 aspirin or 1.
Fucking tanked.
And it's good. Like the headache is gone. I can actually feel it in my system doing things.
Yeah.
You know, like it's strange how when we pollute ourselves, how difficult it is for things to actually work. You know?
Yeah, and you got to look at it from a holistic approach too. Like, I notice a detachment from my self-awareness of my body just by I noticed it getting out of jail drastically because we go from this like organized way of living, and your meal plan is like it's not the greatest, it's shitty, but it's the same all the time. So your body adapts to it, and you are used to it. And you're like I was 100% sober, so I was really self-aware of like everything.
Yeah.
And then I noticed like even just getting out and watching that first half an hour of cable television or like listening to music, I noticed like a disconnect, like something happened.
So we need to preface.
I noticed it when I had a cigarette drastically, and then I really noticed it when I ate some McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right?
So we need to preface this though about the jail system in Alberta is that there is no cable TV here.
Yeah, there was.
Basic.
Okay, yeah.
And in other like the Fort? No.
No, you get a couple.
You had 3 channels.
3 channels, yeah.
So like it was, so yeah, because other places in Canada are not like that. And in Alberta jails, they only give you like the 15-inch screen TV. In the Fort and at the Remand Center, you get a full-size TV.
Yeah.
But so like it's a 15-inch flat screen TV for like 80 people to watch. That's what you get. But yeah, no, you're right. As soon as you get out, because you obviously like, well, I read more in jail than I did ever really, but I always liked reading until I started using drugs to where I couldn't concentrate, you know? So yeah, you notice that goes right away. And it's funny when you get out of a constructed environment of that nature, you almost have like a checklist of what you don't want to give up in your head. Like, I don't want to give up praying. I don't want to give up meditation time. I don't want to give up the time that I used to read. Yet as you're going through life, it all starts getting whittled away. You know, you had all these great ideas in jail and they probably would have been beneficial for you. However, it starts going away. And I think that's the same thing with the nutrition piece.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to tie it into.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, I could predict everything that my body would do. You know, I could predict my bowel movements.
Yeah.
Like they were like clockwork.
Yeah.
Just because like my meal plan was consistent, right? Even though it was shit and it was full of like chocolate bars and Mr. Noodles.
Yeah.
It was consistent. And now it's, you know, I'm eating a lot of different foods.
Yeah.
And I noticed, though, drastic decrease in awareness after eating shit food.
Yeah. Yeah. I talked about that actually in the blog about how we were talking about the relapse that I had from Wendy's a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I relapsed again this weekend.
No.
Just talking about it. So like
It started jonesing.
So on my I think it's Cornometer or something like that. It's in the blog what I called it. So it's basically all the shit that I eat and I work out with. At the end of the month, I'm actually going to post all of it on one of the blogs so that everybody can see it. And there's one day where you'll see it's missing. And that's because I went off the Richter scale. I just ate shit food the entire fucking day. So I'm back on the horse kind of like yesterday. But it's funny, like, and I did parallel it with my sobriety because when I came into sobriety, I'm a literal first time kicker. No relapse. Like, that's not my story. And but when it comes to this food thing, I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm having some pretty serious issues with it in regards to, but I don't think I ever looked at it in the filter of utilizing what I know about the principles from the steps in regards to my diet. Like, I've come to recognize now I need to surrender to the idea that I probably have a fucking problem, right? Because I can't stop myself. And once I eat one shit food, the fucking day's a write-off.
Look out.
Yeah, like it's a write-off.
Yeah.
You know? So like, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. I really have to keep that in mind as I'm like white-knuckling, gripping, talking to my higher power, going, fuck, please don't put me in a situation where there's going to be shit food around. And at the same time, like, I can walk into a bar today and not drink for whatever, playing guitar, birthday, fucking pub food. Again, pub food.
Oh, yeah.
But like I can do that and not have a beer. So why is it that this food thing is grabbing me so much? And I can do really well for a long period of time. And it almost feels like I'm a fucking dry drunk.
It's because you have bacteria in your gut and it's affecting your brain.
Yeah, we were talking a bit about that, about how the gut impacts on your brain. And I guess I can see that. Like, I can see the correlation to that. And I also think too that like this food thing. So like, for instance, if you go into a treatment center, they don't have cable TV. There's a reason for it. The reason why they don't, and they selectively pick their fucking movies. And the reason, like, you're not going to find Blow in a fucking treatment center. You won't find that movie there. You won't find Goodfellas for a movie in a fucking treatment center. If you do, you might want to like rethink your fucking treatment center. And the reason for it is because that a relapse, we know this, a relapse happens not in the time of the relapse, but weeks before, because your behaviors are dictating that you're going to relapse. Everybody can see it. And people try to put the stop sign in front of you. However, your train's just fucking flying right by it. You know what I mean? So like, we all have talked about this thing where, you know, why don't they have cable and treatment centers? Well, because they have beer commercials. They have gambling commercials. And when you're in your infancy of your recovery, that I believe in triggers in that moment.
Yeah.
Because you just don't have the wherewithal to deal with it yet. And here we are now with food, talking about, you know, McDonald's or on your social media stuff, right? Now, the advantage that we have is this: when it comes to social, you can actually pick all of your advertisements. And this, I've given this trick before, and I'll give this trick again. As soon as you see an advertisement that you don't like, that's kind of triggering to you, tell them that you're offended. turn into some fucking altruistic libtard and just be like, this is fucking crazy. I don't want to ever see this bullshit again. Get this shit off of my feed because it's triggering for me. And they will. And then eventually you're not going to see McDonald's or Wendy's or any of those fast food bullshit on your feeds because you've told them all like this is triggering for me. Just like I tell alcoholics all the time, because you will get alcohol advertisement on your phone. Just tell them that you're offended by it.
Yeah.
Because it's your right. That's your right. That's one right we didn't have with cable TV. Okay, you didn't have that, where you could pick your commercials. Now, you have that liberty. So, or just pay for the fucking premium services so that you don't have advertisements at all, right? It costs you, what, $10? Well, that $10 might be worth not having a trigger.
Might be worth the wrong subconscious programming.
Well, and that's just it. Especially, I mean, we damn well know. I mean, there's a pretty fucking distinct correlation between not just McDonald's, but even like certain processed food manufacturers saying this is the best pizza out there, rising dish, and all this bullshit. They're doing that on purpose because most of us have an attachment to carbs and bread.
It's like, yeah, carbs and bread triggers the same emotions and feelings as cocaine does.
And they're totally hoping that as you see that on the screen, you smell what's cooking on that screen.
I can smell it right now.
Exactly. That's how deep-seated their subliminal advertising is. That's subliminal advertising.
My mouth's watering just thinking of pizza.
That's shit from Pavlov. If anybody's read about the Pavlov dog, that's where that entire family of advertising comes from, is that right there. That's a purposeful thing, right? So, yeah, man, it's pretty fucking scary. And then how do you get into that place of being abstinent from shit food? You know, like, it's difficult. That is you really have to plan out, because it's not freedom, I'll tell you what.
I think we have to structure it the same way we structure our recovery.
Well, yeah, and so I'll say it this way. When it comes to my recovery, I have true freedom. I can go wherever, whenever, however, do whatever, and I'm probably like 99% of the time not going to think about a fucking relapse today. In the beginning of my recovery, though, it was like walking on eggshells all the time because I didn't trust myself. And I feel like I'm in the same place with food right now. I'm walking on eggshells. You know, like I remember when I first quit, when I first stopped or went into recovery, I didn't want to see the liquor store signs.
Yeah.
Fucking scared the shit out of me. And I would not park to go, like I would not park my car to go into a Mac store for milk if there was a liquor store there. Like the corner store. I would not park in the corner store parking lot if there was a liquor store there. You know how fucking difficult that is? Try to find a corner store without a liquor store by it. It's you go far out of your way. But those are the links that you kind of have to go to mentally in order to prove to yourself that you are trustworthy. You're willing to go there. You're not going to rest upon laurels. You're not going to, say, fuck it. You know what I mean? Because once you say that one fuck it,
Here comes on a slippery slope.
Yeah, but that's how extreme we are as a people. And I think the only insight that we have about that is because you and I have been living in this recovery-based mind frame for a while now. We know, we have that awareness, that wherewithal that if I get one fuck it, I got many more fuck it's coming. You know?
Yeah.
And I think people with this food issue, it's the same thing. You know, you see a bag of chips and you're like, fuck it. Then here comes the 2-liter pop. Then here comes the salsa dip. Then here comes. And then it just rolls. Right? So like, I don't know, man. I mean, one of the things that I've been trying is putting just a little bit of salt on my fruit. And it actually heightens the taste of the fruit.
You put salt on your fruit?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I like mustard on my apple.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I actually, so like tuna, instead of, some people put mayonnaise, honey and mustard for my tuna. And it's so fucking good. Like, it's so good. That's way better than mustard, way better than mayonnaise any day of the week. But yeah, so like putting salt on my fruit, what that is it actually makes the flavor of the fruit more alive in my mouth. That's why you put salt in things that you cook with, because it brings everything alive. Because what the salt actually does is it opens up all the pores in your mouth. That's why people who smoke usually put a lot of salt with their food, because they can't taste it. The nicotine in the tobacco is coating their mouth. And because of that, they use salt in order to like open up all of the taste buds in their mouth. Mm-hmm. So now if you put a little bit of salt with like your mango, just a pinch, doesn't take much, just a pinch, you'll
It's
taste
next level, eh?
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure.
I'm gonna try that.
Even like a little bit with your strawberries and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's something else. And so then all of a sudden your brain starts going, shit, that's sweet. That's really sweet. I don't need chocolate. That's almost like you can almost feel that want or that urge just slip the fuck away. It's pretty crazy how that happens. I've experienced it though over the last couple days doing that, and I can't take credit for that. I actually learned that from Dr. Oz, because I think this is the other value too. Is like when you came into recovery, how many times did you start looking at alternatives not to use drugs and alcohol?
I remember one day I literally drank 12 cans of ginger ale. Like the sugar, like cravings were unbelievable.
Because you're going to that place not wanting to use.
But my body's craving something. My brain is craving something. My guts are craving something because they have been codependent on other things.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. When you first come into recovery, what does your research base look like for different avenues? Like, for instance, when you come into recovery, you may look at AA. You may look at Cocaine Anonymous. You may look at Narcotics Anonymous. You look for these supports, right? The beautiful thing about diet and nutrition is we have access to the internet. However, the fucking internet is so polluted with bullshit things that don't fucking work, because they're trying to sell you in to that whole thing about the commercialization of processed foods. Think about fucking Jenny Craig. What is Jenny Craig really? It's a fucking meal plan for life that you can't afford. That's what it is. Dr. Berenstein's. What is that? That's a meal plan that you can't fucking afford. You can't afford that shit for your life. Look at what's her name? Allie, whatever the fuck her name was from Cheers. One on the cocksucking Jenny Craig. She's fucking fat again. And why is she fat again? Because you can't afford to live on Jenny Craig for your entire fucking life. She lost, 160 pounds? But she still gained 100 pounds. So at the end of the day, she lost 60.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm in this motherfucker for. That's not why I'm doing this. I used to weigh 180 pounds fighting and in great shape. I'm fucking damn near 300 pounds now. Why?
What about, supplements? What about, Slim Fast or...
But see, that stuff too, we have NFLAC here, right, in Canada. No, not NFLAC. What's that shit that those crackheads drink? They get it for free. Yeah, Ensure. You actually look into that shit. It's no fucking good for you.
Oh,
it's not good for you. But I'll tell you this, so working out, I've been using now, I'm on second cycle or second bottle of my Muscle Tech Nitro Ripped.
Yeah.
Which actually helps lose weight. I'm losing weight from that. 100%. And lifting and stuff and doing the research about I can't say the word right now. Hypertrophy? That's it. Hypertrophy. And seeing the difference between that, like you and I had talked about off the air about what those cycles look like, and starting to actually maintain that within some sort of a training regimen.
Yeah.
I'm feeling stronger. I'm starting to feel more endurance. I'm not going on the bike all of the time to run out my training. Like, so I was going on the basically the assault bike or the Tydax bike in order to push all the sugar out of my system after lifting.
Yeah,
right?
But then how much are you going to crave it?
So, but what I found was as long as I was taking the shake after, the Nitrotech shake after, I was fine.
I know bodybuilders who are absolutely fucking shredded. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they will slam a can of Coke after.
Yeah. I read that too. Rogan was saying the same thing. But I think, so I have been hypoglycemic. And I've actually reversed that more than once.
I don't.
So hypoglycemia is
Pre-diabetic?
It's pretty much stage 1. Well, you're getting into diabetes. You're probably going to be stage 2 real quick. Okay. So I've flipped that 3 times in my life. Okay. So for me, sugar is definitely a fucking issue. And so I know that if I'm feeling lethargic after eating, I have to go for a walk in order for my body to take the Lipitin and turn that into insulin. I have to. Because if I don't actually make that movement, I'm in big shit. You know what I mean? Like it will just, it'll just get fucked up in my system. And so, yeah, I think for myself, sugar wouldn't, like, my body wants it too much. It's looking for it all the time. And now that I've cut White Death out of my coffee in the morning, life is better and I don't really miss it. I actually like coffee better now with just almond creamer in it. Whenever I can get it. Sometimes I'll get real creamer for the fat or whatever, but it's not like I'm actually putting White Death in a lot of my cooking. There's a couple things that I might put it in with, like I made Sherpa stew last night. I was telling you I threw some sugar in it for the tomatoes and all of that.
Yeah.
But I'll actually use stevia, and I like stevia a lot as opposed to sugar, and that seems to
the taste of it.
Yeah, I don't mind it actually now. Stevia, it doesn't really bother me.
Like, I don't like white. I'd fucking use honey all day long.
Sure.
Till the cows come home for everything, in my coffee, in my tea, fucking
sure,
everything.
Yeah, I just, yeah. So I've used stevia, and that, yeah. I mean, honey is definitely, like I said, well, I use it with the tuna, right? And it's way better. But yeah, so like we're always looking for these other things to use, like I was saying about early recovery. So how much research did you do when you came into recovery? Like, we look at the whole plethora. You know what I mean? You go to treatment and you try to employ some of the things that they say. And I almost feel like this month of like 20 whatever days we have left of this month, it's almost like for my own mantra or my own mission, I want the right diet by the end of the month. That's all I want. And I'm really tired of doing this and then doing that and then the next thing. I'm almost at a place now where my best ideas are not getting me what I need. You know, like it's just not working. And I feel like I'm swimming in a world of too much information. And I'm literally holding a fucking life, like a life jacket in the middle of an ocean.
I have a suggestion for you.
Shoot.
So, in recovery, what's the one thing that you can rely on?
God.
Okay.
For my recovery.
Yeah, but the one thing that you've spoken to me many times about, and where I was getting with this is, you have a sponsor.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your sponsor's had your back for years.
Yeah.
He fucking tells you the shit that you don't want to tell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Get yourself a fucking nutrition sponsor.
So that's Keith. Keith has actually stepped up. He stepped up on the last show to do that. And his what, like, Keith.
But are you calling him before you pull into the drive-through line? You need to look at him in the same way.
I haven't been doing that. But Keith is definitely, like, we've had some conversation. And I think at the end of the month, we're going to try to pull Laura back in and we're going to go over that chrono thing. Like the app that I'm working with right now. Because I'll put it to you this way. This motherfucker, I'm going to plug this app all day long. I want you to check it out. And the reason why I say this is because it'll look at all of your shit and it'll even tell you if it's USADA approved. Okay, like it goes into a depth I have never ever before in my life, even fighting, knowing what I needed to have in my life. This app, man, goes into like such a detail, and it'll start showing your trends of what you're eating, provided that you use it. So yeah, I agree though. I'm going to try to employ Laura to really give me a serious hand to break down the science that's going on in my body with the nutrition, and then Keith and I are working something out too in the current moment about diet. But yeah, you're right. You need that person who's
A big thing I noticed too, when I started learning about gut health and my digestive system, and I started experimenting with colon hydrotherapy, like for the purpose of addiction, right? Was that I didn't chew my fucking food.
yeah.
I know that like when I was going to get cleaned out and like I was like looking at the tube that the poop was going through that came out of my body, you could see full chunks of food.
Yeah.
Full chunks of it. And, if we're not chewing our food, we're just gorfing it down, the shit that our body is breaking up and absorbing is what's easiest for it to break up and absorb.
Yeah.
And what's easiest is the processed food.
Yeah.
It's the carbs, it's the bread, it's the canned shit that's got the preservatives in it. It's the pastas, it's the starches,
You know what I have noticed though, talking about pasta. Pasta is not the same in North America as it is in Italy.
No,
You go to Italy, people are skinny and that's all they eat is pasta. Like they're fucking skinny. They're not fat people in Italy. I'm telling you right now, they're not, for the most part.
Yeah, well, people like since Jesus, they've survived off of bread.
And so like you're
real bread.
You look at the obesity rate of like Italy next to North America. Fuck, buddy, they're like percentages of ours. You know what I mean? Like they're like 3 or 4% to us.
And why do you think that is?
I would suspect, actually, if I think about the way how they made pasta there and how fresh it was, plus with the salt in the air, like just the environment that they're in, I think that it's the same thing kind of too. If you go to Jasper,
I think it's the GMOs.
I think
it's the GMOs
I could agree with you
the
there.
food.
I would agree with you there, but at the same time, like I was saying about Jasper, you go to Jasper and you get a loaf of bread there next to a loaf of bread here, and they're two different worlds. Yeast doesn't rise in the mountains. It just doesn't. It's denser. Like the grain is denser. And when you go into Italy, because of the salt, because they're all pretty much coastal for the most part, when you get to the salt with the salt content, with the salt mix in the air, so to say, you just get something completely fucking different. It's not the same that we have here, and for the most part, you get fresh pasta there daily. Like people make it daily. It doesn't come in a fucking bag. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not that. I kind of like, this is going to sound really Alex Jonesy and fucking conspiratorial, but I kind of think that Monsantos and all those fuckers are actually trying to kill us. I really think that they're trying to kill a mass part of society. Like it's almost like a fucking, they think that there needs to be a mass kill off. Like how many times do you get into that whole alien conspiracy bullshit where they're like, there can only be 100,000 people left in society? And I kind of feel like I watched that documentary on Netflix called Heal. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but they definitely said why they made the correlation of why is it that our food is fucking killing us? Like as healthy as you want to live, there's shit in food that is fucking killing you. And the only way that you know damn well that it's okay or half decent is you made your own fucking seeds even now. Because the seeds have cocksucking GMO in it.
Yeah, well, I guess it's wrong for us to say that it has GMO in it because it's genetically modified from the seed. The DNA in the plant has been modified.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is it is modified to produce higher yields at any cost.
And then this is the commercialization of the fucking food industry that we have.
Yeah.
It all feeds like I said, there's a two-part responsibility. We as the consumers need to stand the fuck up and be like, we're not accepting this. I would rather pay an insurance to our government to pay out farmers with shit yielding fucking crops because they didn't use GMOs. I would rather that than feed into this whole entire industry of fucking garbage we don't even know that's killing us.
Like even the pesticides that Monsanto uses on its crops, it's got this chemical in it, like it's a nicotine-based chemical.
Arsenic.
It's called neonicotinoids.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And that neonicotinoid pretty much gives AIDS-like symptoms to our honeybees.
Yeah.
And and that's what's causing them to die, is these neonicotinoids in the pesticides that is lowering the immune system as if the bee had HIV.
Yeah, it's crazy what's happening. We've really, and I think this whole city dwelling, we talked a little bit about it with Laura. This whole city dwelling urbanization, we've really lost the touch and the intuitiveness of nature. We've just lost it. It's not the same. Especially people who've grown up in the city their entire life, and like I said, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of flack from me saying that I've gone hunting in my lifetime, and I would much rather eat partridge, like spruce grouse and rough grouse, than any other. Don't really want chicken. I would rather that. I would rather harvest a moose for something like beef. You know what I mean? I would rather that in my life than having to go to the grocery store to eat that bullshit. But I dived into this. I'm not going to say names because they will probably come after us, but there are animal rights groups out there. Now, follow the money. This has always been a gift of mine. After we did the last episode, I looked into some of those groups who are activists about veganism and they dislike Ducks Unlimited and all that stuff. You look at who's funding those groups. It's the farmers. The big conglomerate farming lobbyist organizations are funding these groups. And I mean, my thought process behind that is, what would be the interest of them funding that? It pushes people to continuously eat the produce and eat the meat and eat all this stuff that's coming out of a supermarket as opposed to going to go grow it on your own. And we have all of these people who say get back to the earth societies, like go live as a homesteader and all that stuff. And I'm totally for it. I think that that's a great way to live if you can pull it off.
Ships.
Sure. But I agree with that. But at the same time, where it lies is Monsanto still owns the fucking seed. You haven't gotten past it. And then to go and actually try to find non-GMO'd or non-manufactured or mechanically engineered seeds, very difficult to find that. You have to go deep into the well, and you're going to pay a serious premium for it. And again, are we going to a place where it's a mass extermination over a long period of time? Because the government really, whether it's American or Canadian, its responsibility is to keep us safe. That's what we employed them for. That's why we voted them in. That's why we pay our taxes to a degree. Okay? And we should actually be a part of that responsibility. We should, as society, be able to sit at the table and say, those regulations don't really seem to be helping us. I don't give a fuck. They should not be in the place of regulating the sale of the product. They should be in the process of regulating the safety of the product. Yet we don't see that. The regulation of the safety is up for sale to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And that's what
Well,
we see.
Like even FDA approved shit.
That's bullshit. Yeah, that's all bullshit.
Like it's unfathomable how they've had us fucking hoodwinked for years.
Well,
Trained in our living rooms by the idiot box.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing, like living in Canada, I will say that the Canadian Food Administration is a lot better than the FDA, hands down. And the reason why I say that is because in Canada we have laws against lobbyists. Lobbyists are not allowed to pay organizations. They can't lobby them. They can only lobby politicians. And really, when you look at politicians, they're not allowed to make policy. The policy actually comes from the bureaucratic system in Canada. So like Canadian Food Administration, CFA, they're the ones who make policy on safety reg. And the politician is the one who passes bills. So they make the law about it. So for instance, when you used to get caught cultivating marijuana, that wasn't a criminal charge. That was a Canadian Food Administration charge that became criminal. That's where that came from. Now that marijuana is legal in Canada, it's gone back to the Canadian Food Administration because Canadian Food Administration also does the Canadian Drug Administration. They do the same hat back and forth. That's why marijuana is off the table in the criminal law court. It's not there anymore. So if you get caught cultivating marijuana bigger than what you're allowed, well, this is where you get fucked now. Because it'll be the Food Administration saying that you don't have a permit in order to grow that. Because they're the ones who permit cultivation in Canada. Mm-hmm. So in Canada, we are a little bit more insulated. However, our big brother down south definitely pushes a shadow over Canada when it comes to like certain processed food products that come on our idiot box because they're buying the same advertising time.
Yeah.
Right. And again, this is, we had Liam come in a long time ago about media rules and reading what that is. It's their responsibility to make sure that what's being advertised to us is 100% real. And it's fucking not. Like,
no.
It's not, man. No. Like, they're supposed to, whatever they're advertising, they're supposed to be able to back up.
Yeah, I remember this like slogan that died off probably when I was like 12 years old. It's false advertisement.
From,
just like whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like see,
well, now it's fake news. That's its equivalent. It's just fake. Like that's what you get now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. and this
fake
is the other
food, fake news, fake fucking clothes.
And this is the thing too, is like we get into a place now where you want to know why mainstream media, MSM is not being trusted. It's because advertising fucked up in the first place.
Well, advertising fucked everything up.
Oh, big time, man.
You make a new platform, anything out there that's like next level technology, you just wait for us fucking marketers and advertisers to come on there and we're going to find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah. So like that's a big reason why mainstream shit just isn't being trusted is because from its inception, which it was the Christian world that made cable television, shit you not, down in America. I don't
believe it.
So like, well, not Christian world, but Christian organizations made it.
I don't believe it.
So like, that's Kenny trying to be sarcastic. So that was like eye roll that you people couldn't see. Yeah, so like when we look at that was all manufactured right from the beginning, and then advertisers just figured out how to get really good at it. And also, I think the commercialization of processed foods that have happened is it becomes a convenience because we're all working way too much. The amount of money that it takes in order to sustain yourself in an urbanized village like Toronto or New York or LA, whatever the fuck it is that you are, you don't have time to like look at your weekly meal plan. I mean, we said this in early recovery for drugs and alcohol. This is your full-time job now. Don't get a job. I don't know how many people I've told that to for the first 6 months. You're not allowed a job. Your job is to get to a fucking meeting every day and do a set of steps and talk to somebody in recovery. That's your fucking job. Okay? Because it's going to take a lot out of you to get through this. And you're going to call me and all that stuff. It's the same idea with this relearning your nutrition, like you were saying, back to recovery. It's a full-time job now to look at what my diet plan is. And this is something that's going to happen all of the time now. Before, we used to have somebody, I don't give a shit what sex it was, sitting at home and doing that. That was their job. It was the domestic job of the family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the value that came from that was to know that your family was at its utmost nutritional, so to say. Like it was the best that you could provide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Now we're eating microwave dinners and fucking box pizzas.
Because there's nobody there to do it. I mean, running a fucking household is a full-time job.
By both male and female.
And yet we've cut it down to a quarter. We've cut it down to a quarter because both people are out there running a full-time job. Right?
Well,
you're out in society 16 hours a day between the two of you doing what you're going to do. And then you come home and it's like, okay, what can we cook inside of like 30 minutes? Jesus Christ, you want fresh fucking pasta? Start that shit at noon. Right? Like this is what I'm getting at. You know, you want a good fucking breakfast, get up at 5 a.m. to have 2 fucking eggs, maybe some this or that or whatever, in order to have a good meal before you go to work. You're not doing that. You're throwing in 2 fucking Pop-Tarts in your cocksucking toaster, fucking throwing that shit down, jump in the shower, come out, your coffee's done, your fucking Pop-Tarts are done, and you're walking out the door with your fucking on-the-go mug.
I should have ate a Pop-Tart this morning.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, that's what it becomes. Right? Because we are all now feeding in to what it's going to cost us in order to survive.
Yeah, time is money.
And we don't look at like, well, no, your nutrition is way more important than the fucking money you're going to make.
Well, yeah, because you can eat this shit food, make all this money, and then die.
And that's what it becomes. And then at the same time, if you don't make a good enough income, you can't buy organic.
No, you're still eating shit food.
That's right. But it's better shit food. You know, George Carlin had it right, man. There's a fucking club and we ain't in it. It's the truth.
Yeah,
Georgie. I mean, if you want to think like a rich person, it's not about your time is worth money. I've never thought that. My time never had a value on it. What creates value is what's the service I'm providing. That's all that matters. And the market dictates what that service is worth. I'm not the one who dictates what the service is worth. The market dictates what the service is worth. And that's fine. That's fine. That's a good way to live. Right? I still don't have to go to a fucking to an office every day. You know what I mean? It's my own office. Right? And being of service is definitely better than having to go punch that fucking time ticket, you know?
Yeah.
What is the one thing, what's your guilty pleasure for processed foods that you know would be difficult to like ex-nay out of your life? It's your go-to when you're tired, you're hungry, you haven't prepped anything, and it's like, fuck it, I'm just going to go get that.
Well, like, you know, the one thing that I really like crave is like Eggo waffles with lots of butter, like so it's like oozing with butter, and then real maple syrup.
Me, it's pizza.
Yeah. Like
those fucking pizzas, like if I'm hungry, know that I haven't prepped anything, I'm not going to have enough energy to really put together a meal. Yeah, I'll just go and buy a pizza, throw that shit in the oven, wait 15, 20 fucking minutes, pop that thing out, and devour the whole fucking thing. That's my fucking go-to.
Like a Giuseppe?
Yeah. Well, no. I usually go for the on-sale ones because I'm like, you know, I'm eating shit food anyways. I'm not going to go put extra money into shit food. That's like my thought process. Yeah. So like I got to feel even worse about it, you know?
Yeah, you're kicking your ass with your food.
I think we all do that really to a degree. I mean, how many times have you had guilty feelings after like a buffet or some shit?
Many.
Yeah. You got the fucking sweats. Like you wake up in the middle of the night and you have the fucking sweats and you're like, oh God, what did I do to myself?
Sometimes I start sweating right in the middle of the meal. Like meat sweats are a real thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Your body just doesn't know what to do with all this fucking meat and just goes into like some form of shock.
I get that because I don't eat meat often. I get that actually just eating like a regular amount of meat now. At all, like my body's just like, oh shit. But back to that Nitro Tech ripped stuff, I actually find that the rehab on my muscles is better while using that now.
Yeah, but what's the effect of it on your gut health?
To be honest with you, I haven't looked into it.
See, that's huge. What happens if Nitro Tech fucks with your gut health and then all of a sudden it fucks with your brain health and throws you into a case of the fuckets?
But you see, this is so track record being spoke over, 6 weeks now, 7 weeks. It's not that's triggering me. What's actually triggering me to throw it all to shit is a shitty feeling in the first place. That's the key right there. That's the key. So like the first emotion that'll pop up is like, I don't know, I just something negative. And then I feel like I have to console myself. And then once that ends up happening, we're in trouble. That's when it gets trouble. But the shake itself, really, like I said, remember I was saying like I could feel aspirin and I can feel that stuff work in my body. I can feel this work in my, like I can feel the creatine. I can feel it. And I can actually feel the B12 and stuff that's in it. Like I take a B12 supplement anyways for energy because I don't like coffee like after 11. So I'll use B12. And yeah, I can actually feel that stuff. I feel good after it. I don't feel shitty when I'm using it. And micro Muscle Tech is actually, they've been around for a while. I would actually suspect because of all this gut shit that's going on now, like the new fad, I would suspect that they've actually tested that or they're testing it. I would suspect that out of Muscle Tech. If there's anything I could say about them, they're pretty, like when I looked into different whey products and protein products and all that stuff, I would say that they do more research than most out there. And it tastes pretty okay. But granted, that should have been a thought process that I had when looking at it as what impact could that have on my gut. You know, I actually read this thing that creatine's good for your brain. Yeah, like it'll actually help you get smart.
Get smart.
Yeah, apparently because your brain's a muscle, right? And what does creatine do? It helps muscles basically regenerate. You know what I mean? Long of the short of it is what it does. It kind of rehabs you. Well,
I just read some article prior to the show.
Yeah.
They had this thing called the gut-brain axis.
Yeah.
And it says in there that our bacteria in our guts affects our brains in multiple ways. It affects our neurotransmitters, and it also affects the signal from our vagus nerve. Now, I got to look into that more about the vagus nerve and like how it signals everything. I don't know. But like I do know with in our brain, neurotransmitters have an effect on our serotonin and our GABA production. And if it's fucking with that, it's going to fuck with the serotonin and GABA. Serotonin makes you happy. GABA keeps you calm. All of a sudden now you're an anxious, depressed mess. Why are you anxious and depressed? Well, is it mental health or is it gut health? That's a serious question.
See, and you know what I find is, so I'm not a guy who gets, like in precarious situations, I don't get stressed out. Really, I don't. Like my barometer is, do I have a gun in my mouth? Like that's my barometer.
Well, yeah, we've been in like the ultimate of stress.
Sure. So I'm just saying, like, so like if I'm in traffic, I can be over the top a little bit. You know, like everybody when they're driving, like why does road rage happen? Well, let's face it, you're driving around a 7 and an 8. And then all of a sudden some fucker cuts you off because your family's in the car and you're like, motherfucker! That's the first thing coming out of your mouth because you know, you're trying to keep everybody safe, right? Yeah. But in regards to actual life, I don't really get stressed out. I find I can very, very quickly just calm the fuck down. But I think that comes from a lot of meditation. You know what I mean? It comes from that.
Yeah.
But I can see how certain foods like coffee, if you have coffee on an empty stomach, you're fucking jacked. You know what I mean? I can feel my heart go do do do, like it's up, you know? And then my brain's like it's almost like it's looking. And that's kind of funny too in itself. Like cocaine is illegal. But fucking sugar, which is way worse than cocaine, is like everywhere in abundance. You know what I mean? The addictive properties from sugar is way worse than even methamphetamine. Believe that.
Yeah.
And methamphetamine, so this is through my...
Well, who has a monopoly on all the sugar industries? Sugar businesses, sugar producing sugarcane
Rogers
plantations.
in Canada. It's Rogers. That's the packing manufacturer in Canada.
Well, even like Nestle chocolate. Nestle.
Oh, yeah.
Who owns that?
Yeah. Monsanto's, isn't it?
No, I'd say some fucking Illuminati fuck.
I mean, yeah, like for sure we can see for a long time that there's been, and that's what's strange, right? Like, again, back to that conspiratorial thing. You can't almost disavow conspiracy when you start finding out like scientists were paid off, like Laura said it. You know, she's like, as crazy as it is, she's like, those are the people that pay me in order to do the research that I do. Like, you need them in order to pay people like Laura. Why? And I do not want to sound like a socialist here, but why the fuck is it we as society aren't paying that? Right? I mean, we would rather that research be on our side than Coca-Cola's side.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And yet you have to have somebody like Laura sitting on the fucking mic who's willing to say, well, I'm here for you, and then just starts disseminating all this information to you. And she's making a clear indication between your codependence and your eating and all this stuff, and like deal with your emotions, and then your diet will come. I fully agree with that. That's why I reverted back to looking at the steps in order to look at my diet. Like, that's why I came to that conclusion. Yeah, it's worked for me, so why wouldn't it work this time? It probably will. But in saying that, who in the fuck has somebody like Laura in their life or a Dr. Rhonda Patrick who's willing to like fucking throw all of them under the bus and be like, this is the best thing for you. I don't give a shit about veganism. I don't give a shit about fucking keto, any of that bullshit. All I care about is this is generally what humans need in order to survive. Watch out for these words. When you see them, don't fucking eat it. Don't consume it. It's poison for you. We don't have that. Well, except for those two people.
Well, people got to do their own due diligence. They got to do their own research, you know. Like,
sure.
And here's the thing. You know, food is one of the root causes to any illness.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Any illness you have, like, where does it derive from? Well, they say, oh, well, stress. Well, where the fuck does your stress come from? My life circumstance. Yeah, well, you'd be able to handle it better if you didn't have fucking leaky gut syndrome.
Yeah.
Right? If you didn't have fucking toxins run rampant in your body coming out of your guts.
And see, so I come from a scientific background for academia. I didn't really want to think that there was anything from homeopathy. But after watching that documentary about Heal, I'm considering going to go talk to a couple people that I know of through somebody. Like they're people that I respect within the scientific community that have seen these homeopathy people.
I'm huge on that shit, and that's just my gut intuition. I don't come from a science background.
So one of the things that I may do is I may go get this eye scan, and this guy who does this eye scan, he breaks everything down, like what you have, what's probably coming, and he's apparently he's been on the show, Chris Suchin. He went and did this thing, and Chris is like, he is deadly accurate. Like, deadly accurate.
Oh yeah, I heard of that stuff before. They do that stuff. Cellular Health Inc.
Yeah.
Here in Edmonton.
So I'm gonna see if I can get in touch with that guy and see if I can get that done, because I'm like, this whole nutrition thing just feels like it opened up a massive wedge. Like, I think I'm almost at an epiphany like you were in with the relationship stuff last month, where it was like, holy fuck, I'm really
Got our work cut out ahead of us.
Yeah, and I'm starting to recognize that for nutrition. Like, I'm starting to see that this is going to be deep. Like, it's deep. It's not just I have the people around me for the emotional structure that's necessary for me to stay on an emotional positive access. That I have with the people that are around me that help me through drugs and alcohol. I have to go and I think where I'm at is I need that self-knowledge. Like, when anybody comes into recovery, first thing you tell them is, look, at you being an addict, you're not normal. You do not consume drugs and alcohol normally, and it's nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with the fact that you do not digest it like a normal person. There's nothing you can do about that. You will never digest it normally, nor will it ever become normal again. And the reason for it is because you've crossed the line. Your body doesn't know how to digest it in a normal way. So, like, I'm at a place now where I think I just have to get that kind of information about me. What is the information? Because I really feel like I'm, like I said, and you were saying too, like, do your own research and stuff. But see, this is the thing that's scary about it, is, like I said, it's a ocean of information.
Yeah.
And there's so much out there that you, like, remember I said in the beginning of recovery, most people can't even trust themselves. They can't even trust their decision. It's the same place when you're looking at all that information. You can't trust it, right? It's so fucking, like, you don't even know, and the amount of reading that you have to do, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous because of this. Your whole entire life, you're not going to go become a Laura or a Dr. Rhonda Patrick. You're not going to do that. And then at the same time, that's where you almost have to get to if you really want to know. Like, you really want to get there. You got to. So, I mean, those people need to have podcasts, which Rhonda Patrick does. Laura's probably going to come back on the show. We're going to talk a little bit more. And that stuff needs to happen. But the issue is we need those people working with people in an individual sense. Because what I'm going to go through over this month is not going to work for even 10 people. It might work for, like, another person or two. The only thing is the formula of the process might work. My recovery works for me. And that's the formula that I've learned from my drugs and alcohol recovery. That formula doesn't work for you, as in Kenny. Like, that, it's not the same thing. And that's okay. But the ideology of the formula is about the same, even when we talk about the goals of 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That formula works, right? How you employ it and how you use it is different. However, we still follow the same process with our interpretation of it.
Yeah. Because
that's the individualism of it. So that's what I'm saying. This entire process over the month, that's what it's really going to become. And when you're talking about the gut impact on your brain, I can totally see that correlation.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm eating wild meat, well, I told you, my Viagra is fucking elk sausage, man. Shit, I eat that? Done. Watch out. Like, I can't fucking contain myself. Really. So I can see that correlation.
And, like, now that I think back of it, like, my childhood friend that took his own life, he was struggling severely with mental health. And now that I look back at it, he grew up literally on processed foods.
Yeah.
Every fucking meal he ate was processed foods. From the start of the day to the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing is, too, that I think fits in with diet and nutrition, because it does mix with mental health, is we need that time to meditate, man. You know, like if you look on Modern Gravity's website, it says floating will help you with your diet and help you lose weight. Well, why?
How?
Exactly.
It's because you go within
Well, I think you're getting rid of the cortisol.
getting rid of the stress.
Yeah,
Cortisol immediately you start storing fat because
Yeah.
it thinks you're going to need it for later energy storage.
That's right. So, like when you go float, that's when you're because essentially it's meditating.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. I was listening to an audiobook, Code of the Extraordinary Mind.
Yeah.
This morning. I was just finishing up this morning, but he is saying that, 15 minutes of meditation a day will drastically improve your life in every single area.
Yeah. So, like, you know how we talk about humbling ourselves in the morning?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I do before my feet even hit the ground, before I take a piss, I ask for help from my higher power. And then in my mind's eye, before I'm even out of bed, I will think about the prosperity that's all around me and how I can contribute towards that stream. And that's how I start my morning every morning. Very rarely do I just jump up out of bed and hop to it. That doesn't happen for me. And if it is like that, day's probably going to be shit. Like it's like making the bed. And the only reason why I made the bed is because I just did a meditation piece prior to getting up. Like that's the whole reason for it. It's to clean up that part. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like my mat. And I do have a meditation mat that I haven't been using, but will be using again. Just hasn't worked out in my schedule, but I do have that time in the morning that needs to happen where I just got a new fountain pen for my journaling.
Nice.
Yeah, so I did that. The other thing too that I was going to talk about is back to that abstinence of shit food, celebrating, right? When you got a job or whatever, you went out for a couple beers and you celebrated and it was a good time. Well, you and I both know today that that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, so we have been celebrating with food.
Exactly. And what shit food? It's all shit food. Oh, it's a great excuse to go to the fucking restaurant because you just got a new job. It's a great excuse to go to the restaurant. It's your birthday. Right? Like, we have to recognize that that's not a celebration. That's like just slamming fucking shit into your fucking body.
It's punishment.
Exactly.
Why are we punishing ourselves when we should be celebrating?
It's crazy when you look at it like that, right?
Yeah, it really is.
And that filter, like we all knew it when it comes to our recovery. Yeah, probably doing a line
isn't the greatest fucking idea.
I'm probably not going to make it to work tomorrow if I do that, and it's a brand new job. But fuck it, I'm celebrating. What? Yeah, like that is insidious insanity. Doing the same actions over and over again, expecting different results. That's exactly what it is. It's fucking insanity. Like I said, after the conversation with Laura, it really reveled in my mind. Are my actions encouraging what needs to happen? And quite frankly, in this area of my life, I can say it's not. You know, I have perfect justifications. Like it's my birthday this week. And I'm literally having to I wouldn't say anxiety, but I'm starting to put that employable process right away about like, okay, well, we're not going to a restaurant.
I'll bring over a veggie tray.
Like like that's where my mind is going is I'm looking at early recovery. And I wrote a lot about that in the blog that came out. That'll be out tomorrow. Just came out, where I feel like I'm a newbie again in this one piece. However, I have 5 years practicing those principles and been successful on a daily contingency because of those. And if I apply those principles to this diet thing, I feel pretty certain that it's going to be successful. I'm right now in search of like my information. So I'm looking forward to when you do the full episode on gut health. That's coming up because I definitely want to. I don't know if I'll be participating as in talking, but I'll definitely be listening into that show because I think we need. I think we need to be those ambassadors of bullshit detectors from those people who are sitting with us. And I can say that Laura she's just genuine.
I didn't smell any bullshit coming off her.
And that's the thing too, like in this, especially in this health field, you and I both know, man, like people will sell you anything because they're selling a drug, like they're selling fucking food, right? Remember when we used to call crack food?
Yeah.
It's the same
it's
shit.
The same thing, because food is like crack to people anyways.
It is. Like it totally is. Like
I'm fucking jonesing right now.
Like, and yeah, when I was looking at all of it, it made me feel dirty, like I was just selling drugs. You know what I mean? That's how I felt when I was looking at this whole entire thing. So, and then again, like, I mean, we can always talk about your local grocer as opposed to like a commercialized grocer. Is there really a difference? You know, I'm going to go in and dive into that research over this week to see if there's a difference in where your local grocer's getting their food next to where like the major supermarkets are getting their food. Is it the same wholesaler? If it's the same wholesaler, well then fuck, you're just getting it from the same trough, just in a different named trough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like what is the depth you have to go to? Is it only a farmer's market? I mean, Jeff told us that. He was doing a commercial for the farmer's market here in the Edmonton area, and he couldn't say that it was all fresh, local and fresh, because not all of it is local. And some of it isn't fresh. It's been frozen. Right? So, like, how deep does one have to go into, like, figuring this out? And this is just food.
I remember it was like a culture shock for me when I went over to my friend's house. Her name's Ivy. She's the one that taught me all about colon hydrotherapy. I went over to her house and I opened her cupboards and her fridge, and they were just full of like Tupperware containers of like natural shit. Like there was no boxes of cereal, there was no pancake mix, there was no jam and peanut butter. There was no, like, the closest thing she had to anything that was like processed, like even looking processed, was like a fucking 5-gallon pail of unprocessed, unpasteurized honey, like natural honey. That was like the only thing in like that type of like fucking wrapping.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was still like everything, like she made it fresh.
Yeah,
she would get it, cook it, eat it.
And how much time did that take her in her day?
Fuck, I don't know.
Like you and I, we put in an hour in the gym.
I don't even have time to make my own food. If I could, if it's come to the point where it's like a protein shake after the gym and fucking one big meal around dinner time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and it's fucked up because it's so individual.
Yeah, everybody's different.
It's so individual, and then at the same time, there's so much bullshit out there that's trying to take the salmon, and I mean salmon is in like you and I as people, take us here, or take us there, or do this, or do that, and don't do this, and don't do that. And then you have the fad of of this fad of diet and the fad of that diet, and diets don't last, man. They just don't last because it's not what you were meant to do, is to restrict yourself.
No, it's got to be a lifestyle of beneficial choices, of life-producing choices.
And see, does it mean that you have to be all woo-woo and hippie about it?
No, but every decision we make throughout the day is either one that supports life or one that points us towards death.
Yeah.
With food, with everything.
Yeah.
You know? Every time I light up a cigarette, I'm getting closer to death.
Yeah.
I'm promoting death.
Every time you laugh, you just promoted 5 minutes of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we need to like consciously be aware of that and choose more life-giving choices.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a very, yeah, man, this whole food thing.
But I'm so fucking addicted to waffles.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do about that?
Well, and I'm in the same boat. Like I'm addicted. I'm addicted right now to like Indian food from a restaurant.
Well, that's not that bad, man.
No, buddy.
Is it?
It's fucking. Yeah. Come on now.
Oh.
Fried
Well,
curries and stuff.
Well, you'd think it'd be better, like, you know, I gotta fucking... If there's the bacon mushroom melt at Wendy's, because limited time, but when they do have it, I'm fucking eating bacon mushroom melts for fucking 2 weeks straight almost. I can't get enough of them.
Have you ever had Sherpa stew?
No.
You need to try that before you go.
I would gladly try something.
Because
before I
it's Nepalese food,
go. Yeah.
and it's like fucking so good.
Okay, let's go eat some right now.
It'll be good.
Are we done yet?
Yeah, we can be.
I'm hungry, man. We've just been talking about food for an hour.
Yeah, I know. All right, close it up. Wrap it up.
Okay, guys, thank you for listening. I'd really appreciate it if you went onto our website and dropped us your email, because then you are part of the family,
The pride.
part of the Lion's Pride. Subscribe and share it with all your friends.
Please, all of them, and subscribe.
Like, if you find value in our show, please share it.
Yeah, tell everybody.
Please share it if it was valuable to you.
For sure.
You can find our blogs, which will also provide more value, which we appreciate if you share those too, at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com.
Best blog site out there.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday.
Choose healthy.
Peace.